How you feeling? How's morale amongst the guys?
Fantastic. Doesn't get better than this. That Title 8 mission is so important for the country.
It was an assault and a kidnapping of a U.S. citizen. I was never arrested. I was never charged.
A woman reported that she was unlawfully assaulted and detained by ICE agents. She said she informed the officers that she had recently undergone 2 kidney surgeries, but they allegedly mocked her pain and showed no concern until she began urinating blood.
My name is Diane Figueroa. I am a proud first-generation Mexican-American, a criminal justice major, a single mother, and a future law student. What happened to me almost exactly 2 months ago on October 10, 2025, was not law enforcement. It was violence, blatant racial profiling, and a shocking abuse of federal authority. That morning, I kissed my son goodbye and watched him walk into school, never imagining that it would be what felt like days before I felt safe again. On my regular commute into Chicago, I approached what looked like chaos. Cars stopped in the middle of the street, people running, yelling, and recording on their phones. Moments later, my life changed forever. A silver SUV with double tinted windows suddenly swerved into my lane and struck my car. The driver's face was almost entirely concealed. Hat, dark tinted glasses, and a face mask. He made no gesture, no signal. Before I could even process what was happening, his passengers, other masked men, jumped out with guns drawn and aimed directly at me. They ripped open my door. One of them screamed in my face, demanding that I get out, yet never identifying himself, never asked me for my ID, and never told me where I was being detained or why. They never read me my rights. Instead, I was violated. These tough guys violently dragged me out of my car, yanked me by my feet, and ripped the phone out of my hands. Beaten, bleeding, and barefoot, I was thrown into a red van. I begged them to tell me who they were and where they were taking me. No one answered. I was shoved into the edge of a third-row seat, no seatbelt, suffocating body heat, and no air conditioning. I was wedged between 2 terrified Latino men who did not speak English. We were all handcuffed, unsecured, helpless, and I went into a full panic attack. While I was shaking, crying, gasping for air, and banging my own head against the window, screaming for help, hoping someone from the outside could hear me, they raised their phones and began to photograph me. 2 more masked men in full black tactical gear, carrying professional cameras, had been circling me from the beginning, documenting my terror. Where those images ended up, only God knows. I was not treated like a human being, and I was certainly not treated like a U.S. citizen, but I was preyed upon. They were proud to have captured me. I was first violated at the Broadview Immigration Detention Center, and eventually while in FBI custody in Lombard, Illinois. Everything moved quickly and without explanation. I was fingerprinted, photographed, and swabbed for DNA, and fully processed and identified, all while my physical condition was rapidly worsening. I repeatedly told them that I was recovering from 2 recent kidney surgeries. No one took it seriously until I began to pee blood. I begged for help, for a phone call, a lawyer, for water, bandages, anything to ease the pain. Instead, I was laughed at and thrown into a filthy jail cell. The toilet available for me was under direct surveillance. With no privacy, no dignity, and unbearable pain, I had no choice but to use it. When visible blood appeared, their soulless demeanor finally vanished. Not out of care, but because they didn't want me to die in their custody. While I was being kidnapped, my family and friends were desperately trying to find me, contacting the members of our inner circles, elected officials, civil rights organizations, and legal advocates. They did not know whether I was being killed, kidnapped, or trafficked. Hours later, I was finally allowed to access my phone again by the heroic paramedics. My cut, trembling hands could barely type, but I managed to send a message at 2:07 p.m. in an ambulance. Within seconds, my boyfriend replied with something that stunned me, a photo of the very Village of Lombard ambulance I was inside of. Their determination, love, and the refusal to stop searching are the only reasons I was not lost entirely. like the hundreds of people, including children, who had been reported missing from the ICE locator system since these domestic terrorizations began in our country. Or worse, killed, like my neighbor and father of two, Silvario Villegas Gonzalez of Franklin Park, Illinois. A father of two minors, my neighbor. He died in the course of an ICE operation. What happened to me that day is not an arrest. It was an assault and a kidnapping of a U.S. citizen. I was never arrested. I was never charged. I was never given an explanation or an apology. But the damage is done, and it continues. I suffer severe bruising, nerve damage, a broken tooth, and aggravated injuries to my leg and wrists. My surgically repaired kidney became swollen and inflamed. And emotionally, I developed PTSD, panic attacks, and severe anxiety. I swear I've been kidnapped in my nightmares every single night since. Weeks later, a disturbing pattern emerged. Reports of nearly identical incidents. This time, a man with schizophrenia was kidnapped and later released in a completely different town by the same masked agents, using the same reckless tactics and the same red van they used to attack me in. It is important to say this clearly. The individuals who did this do not represent the honorable men and women who serve in our military, our local police departments, and our federal agencies, with integrity and accountability. Those people protect us.
Thank you, Ms. Figueroa. If you can just wrap up in the next sentence or two.
Yes,
on time.
sir.
Thank you so much.
Despite everything, I am here. I am standing and I am speaking because I refuse ICE to rewrite my story. I refuse to let fear silence me. This was not just an incident. It was a violation of my physical being, my rights, my dignity, and my humanity. And I will not rest until there's accountability, transparency, and change. Thank you.
Thank you so much for joining us on today's show. See you in the next one. Bye-bye.